I'll never forget the first time, you know, I usually do all the screaming on my boat. I'll never forget we had a bird come into our spread. I was looking in the other direction. Rudy screams. I swear I almost fell out of the fucking tower. I was terrified. I had no idea what was going on. Like I panicked. I was like, Rudy, what's going on? He goes, dude, I was trying to scare the bird. I go, you have to warn somebody. All the guys freaked out, and he's there dying of laughter. Mikey dropped a beer. You know, Ian dropped a beer.
And how did it start out? Like, what was the origin story?
Too much alcohol.
Really? Okay.
Says if God wanted us to have fiberglass boats, he would have given us fiberglass trees.
It's for fishermen. It's not for taking the wife and the wife's friends.
I think that it's a really, really pretty bit.
And then there was a blur that went by and ended up in the cockpit, as far as if I can remember correctly.
Welcome back to State of Sport Fishing Podcast. I'm Nick Crulo. I'm joined with me, my co-host, Anthony Pino, with Hooked Optics and captain of the Blood Money. Tonight, our guest is Nick Vidal, owner and operator of a 35 tournament contender, Goombay Smash, also does the accounting for Billfish Group, and excited to have you on, Nick. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Looking forward to it. So definitely looking forward to this one. Love the podcast. Been following since you guys started, and definitely honored to be the one of the finance guys behind the team.
Yeah, man. It keeps us organized. Yeah, Nick, just tell us a little intro about yourself and kind of, how you just started out, how you got into fishing, and we'll take it from there.
Good. So I got into fishing, years ago, primarily because of my brother Victor. And funny enough, Corzo that fishes with you, he and Corzo are good friends. And way back when, we used to either fish either the canals or anything of the like. Vic used to dive a lot. I used to get into diving, and then I had another group of friends that did a lot of, other kinds of fishing, either bottom, obviously the old school trolling, going to chefs or chiefs in the key, getting some rigged ballyhoo and throwing a couple lines out, right? Like every key rat kind of did. And between one thing and the next, I would travel quite a bit to Wate with family. And they took me to the Pacific when I was 9-10 years old. And that was pretty much, where I really got into, deep sea, billfish. I would also go to the Caribbean side and deal with some backcountry items. And then ever since that one trip that I had, it was something that it was nonstop. So I would travel rather extensively for it. And then, getting a little bit older, I fished a lot in high school. I lived in Puerto Rico for a period of time and fished a lot over there with some people that I knew, flying back and forth, and always maintained, a connection, a deep connection to the water to fish, whether it was, free diving or, rod and reel fishing. And, that's pretty much where I started. I would fish a little with my dad off of piers, always had a connection for it and really enjoyed it. And then, as it started to get older and I got my own boat, or I fished on other people's boats, better said, continued to do the exact same thing. And lastly, we got the small boat, probably, I remember, I think that was like 6 years ago. We started to fish quite a bit and decided to, join the circuit, with some of the big girls,
That was the first contender, right? The 25.
That was the first one, the 25.
Nice.
Yeah, that was the 25 with a twin 200. So our goal when we finally did it, we fished a lot prior to, but when we finally did the circuit with everybody, the whole goal was just to put a small boat into it and do the whole circuit. That was kind of our goal, or one of them, better said. And hopefully they brought back the small boat division. Here we are a year later. Funny enough, the small boat division is nearly, a size and a half of the last boat I had. So It's pretty comical, but
yeah, not really a small boat.
Yeah.
And I feel like the Miami scene or the South Florida scene in general, it's not like it is, there's a lot of good teams on small boats. It's not like maybe some other places in the world where like a lot of it's a really accessible fishery for smaller guys. So you've sometimes maybe in the Mid-Atlantic, there's like a small boat category. So you're not like competing against like professionals, but there's professionals on the small boats down your way,
Yeah.
So
I think the fishery allows it. We can fish pretty close to shore, at least further down south here. Further north you go, obviously, you head out a little bit more, but Yeah, I think it kind of, I don't want to say it levels the playing field because we've been into some gnarly weather, especially in that small boat. But it definitely gives you the opportunity. And yeah, you do have some people that instead of being on a big sporty, with all the comfort creatures, don't mind roughing it out and, take a beating,
Mm-hmm. What did you, when you guys bought the boat, did you always have the goal to start fishing the sailfish tournaments down there?
So when I bought the boat, originally I wanted to buy that boat for like 2 years, have it for like 2 years, and then send it and either leave it in the Bahamas and buy something else. That was kind of like my goal, or keep it like a tender. So when I finally got into it and I got the boat and I started to see the market, how everything was starting to go crazy, and I was, even Nick knew. I looked at, probably before I bought the second boat, probably looked at like 30 boats, 35 boats. I spent more money on surveys than I probably did on the current boat that I own. No questions asked. Like it was ridiculous. Trying to get out of what I normally know. So when I kept the boat and I saw how difficult it was to get into something else, I was like, hey, look, I was literally with some friends one day, and obviously, Nick does a circuit, a whole bunch of people that I know do the circuit. I go, let's go and at least, literally fuck up somebody's day. That was kind of the motto we had going on. I know it's going to be very hard for us to be a top contender, but to give anybody to give the guys a shot at something or to be a part of something, I always thought it was interesting. Why does it always have to be so exclusive to these decamillion multi-million-dollar operation? It's, yeah, there's a lot behind it, not just a financial aspect, just a team aspect. And so when I told them, I go, hey, look, let's have a good time. Let's do it with our boys and let's join. What's the worst? It's we have a good weekend. We have a good time. We rough it out. We're going to get, knocked to hell in some of these days because of the time of year that it is. And that was it. So finally, when we decided to make, to get into that and take that step, I knew, hey, look, we're going to convert this boat completely. So, we did the whole rod holders, we did all the electronics that we needed, completely upgraded because I kept it fairly basic, knowing I was going to get in and out of it rather quickly. And,
Which is it? This is a 25?
This was a small boat.
Okay.
This was a small boat. And then, we fished probably about a year just for fun on that boat. I traveled a lot. That boat pretty much went all over the Bahamas, and then I decided to fish. And while we decided to do the circuit, pretty much my whole crew was, with the exception of one or two guys that had some experience, but not much, my crew was green, super green. One had never even been deep sea fishing before, let alone, I don't think had been on a boat, like outside of the bay. So that's the whole, type of team that we had. It was just to put friends together. I didn't care what walk of, life you came from, but it was, hey, look, dedicate, time. We'll have a great time, and I'll take care of the whole operation. So it wasn't from the get-go that I wanted to get into the circuit, just because I had always been dissuaded by my own self, because I know what the operations take, not just financially, but it's a big
time. Yeah.
And you have a lot of these people that have paid crew, in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And it's kind of hard it's a major opportunity cost, because if, I knew that if we were to even get a shot at anything for that matter, it was, hey, there was going to be a time commitment from people, which was a big opportunity cost.
You do probably most of, not to sell anybody on your team, sure, but you probably do most of it yourself, right?
In terms of what?
Just boat stuff, maintenance or tackle or.
So it was, it's really good. So, I do finance the whole operation. That's one. But one thing I do ask of everybody, and I will say that last year, the core that is still with me this year, we had some changes, but the core that's with me this year put in a lot of effort from last year. And there's a reason why they're still here. Not just because they choose to, but it's because we all have a common goal, and, we have a common goal that we want to meet. So, from the crew perspective, we do split up a lot of the tasks. Even bait, some of the guys going out to catch bait is huge. Some of the guys just tying the rigs. Last year, it was pretty exhausting because I did a lot from that perspective. And everybody evolved throughout that time period last year, so I don't necessarily have to rig anymore. I don't, always have to be there to go catch bait. and take out the bait. We have access to another boat. One of the guys on the team, and they go out catching bait all the time. So everybody started to divvy it up. Even coming to prep the boat a couple days early. Paulie may come down a couple days early and help out. Some of the other guys may come out a little bit early and just prep. There's always a checklist. You know how it is on the boat. There's always something to do. Doesn't matter how big or small the boat is. There's always something, right? So this year, even we had an additional guy come in, and just the operation was very fluid. It was very easy. It wasn't as stressful. I felt just the prep by divvying up some of the tasks not only just took a lot of stress off of me, because the hardest part that I run into is just like everybody has an opportunity cost. Me being an accountant, I'm doing this during tax season. So not many people, definitely not many accountants are going to take 3 weeks off during normal tax season. That's just unheard of.
Yeah.
And we take off a lot more, for that matter. So it definitely helps, the core that stayed this time around and the new guys that we brought in equally. Same goal. Hey, we're going to do this. We're here to have a good time. We're taking it serious, everything of the like. But this time around, I think obviously also the boat helps, right? Having a larger boat this time around, you're not as tired. I'll never forget the first time we all went out. I only went fishing the first time with the whole team when I first got the new boat. And we were all like, wow, it's nice not to take a beating.
Yeah.
Last time even, 10 or 15, 10 knot winds, we're getting soaked. Putting 7 guys on my small boat, we're weighing it down, 2 live wells to work. So now we have, a much different operation. It's a lot less stressful. That's, and that was part of my commitment to the guys as well. I go continue to commit for all of us, right? And I'll continue to buy in for all of us. Because, I'm there primarily to have a good time, competitive to say the least. Just because we want to have a good time doesn't mean we're not competitive, or want to be competitive. But that's the whole point. Like if you don't want to be there, trust me, I want you less there than you don't want to be there.
Yeah.
I have no problem, if I ever run into an issue with somebody that, hey, look, you know what? After day 2, you're out, or whatever day we happen to be on.
Yeah.
So the commitment from the guys, I tell them all the time, like, yeah, there's an aspect that I bring, but I'm one person and I can't do it all. That other one person is one person, he can't do it all. So it's everybody, it's everybody for that matter. And everybody has a task. It's all relative, but, collectively speaking, without everybody, everybody plays some integral part, in one way, shape, form, or fashion, regardless of the task,
Yeah.
So it's definitely a little bit different this year around. Everybody ended up on a high note, right?
Yeah. No, you guys had a great year. Great year.
Definitely happy with it. Obviously you always wish you could do a little bit more. Has some missed shots there, but we that's the way that it goes. Live and learn.
That's the nature of the beast.
Everybody's still hungry for more.
How many guys do you fish with, Nick?
We have this year we fished with 8.
I got you. And they were all committed to get to every tournament and everything like that, or did you have to?
Pretty much. If a wife didn't shut it down because of another family commitment, they were there. But
Good,
pretty much,
awesome.
like I said, it's hard. Putting these things together is a little bit difficult. So everybody that was on the team fished every tournament day.
Yeah.
And typically we'll pre-fish a few days prior. And if somebody can't for work or any given reason, it doesn't really matter. But they try to, hey, look, I can't pre-fish this day or that day. I'll come in a different day, or this checklist, I'll take care of it. I'll knock it out. So it's, the pre-fishing days also is kind of like a little warm up, get everybody into, loose and into the mix of everything that's going on, getting ready into that, obviously seeing, what's going on with the conditions that we have going on. So it's not that it's important for me to have everybody there. I do like to have everybody there, but I do understand that, getting back to it's a major opportunity cost, that even having, 1 or 2 guys, rotate on one day and then 2 or 3 other guys take off the following day, and the other guys that can't, that helps too. The pre-fishing days aren't a big stress for me, but one thing I don't, it's everybody, if you're invested into the team, you have to be invested into it. Yeah. And so nobody fishes without, either pre-fishing with us or practicing with us or anything of the like. This year was a little bit easier. We've hardly had the boat. It's been in the yard with the exception of every single tournament. I took the boat out of the yard, fished the tournament, following day, back at the yard, which it's still there. So I get it back now, thankfully. But of the 8, almost everybody steps in, so and fishes all the way through. And I don't rotate people. So like, if you can't really commit unless an extreme thing happen, that you're off, I won't really bring
It's
anybody
better
else
just
in.
to go with seven guys than not have the right
Yeah.
guy. Yeah.
There's a huge political aspect to these things.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Do you run the boat, or do you have
Yeah,
another
I do.
guy?
I run the boat.
I
No,
gotcha.
I run the boat. I run
Nice.
the boat. Yeah. So we
Yeah,
got a nice little tower now. So definitely, it's nice to be out of the mix and have a view from above.
Yeah, those pre-fishing days are super important, and you don't like for when you're running the boat, it's more, as long as you have faith that your team's going to work well together, then it's more just getting out. If you don't have everybody, it's just more about getting out there and seeing what's going on than actually like going out there and catching a whole bunch.
Yeah, correct. 100%. 100%. So what else? What else you guys want to get into? From your perspective, you guys virtually come up from a captain's perspective, right?
Yeah, pretty much at this point. Would you say, Nick? I barely even get on other boats at this point in my career.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
thankful.
you guys just
from
that perspective.
Yeah.
So, which is nice.
Kind of thankful for that. But
yeah. Well, I'm lucky I get to, fish around a little bit right now while I got some downtime. So it's nice to fish with a few other boats.
Karula's in demand.
Crew is in demand. So
you're in demand. I said Karula is in demand.
I said crew. I was like, yeah, crew's in demand.
Yeah.
I need crew.
Yeah. So you just kind of, Nick, when you kind of put your team together, you just were like, these are guys that I enjoy being around. And then you were like, let's go fishing. And everybody was like, all right, let's try that.
Yeah, kind of, right? So, when I first came up with it or decided to do it, I was with one of my good buddy, Mikey, and another buddy, Martin and Christian. I think we were having drinks out here at Flanagan's or something, and whatever, just some talking shit and like, yo, let's just do the whole circuit. So we chose to do Dust 'em Off. That was a straight friends only circuit. Like, hey, look, let's just do it once, and that's kind of it, right?
Yeah.
I flew in a buddy of mine. I have some buddies of mine that are twins. One lives in Colorado. I flew a buddy of mine in from Colorado, his twin brother, and we did the Dust 'em Off. Then after that tournament, everybody was gassed up. They enjoyed it. So I'm like, all right, you guys want to do the circuit? We'll do it. I don't give a shit. So we chose to do the circuit. That's where already, I started to see the time commitment kind of become not a problem, just, a major opportunity cost from work or whatever the case may be. So teams started to change quite a bit throughout then. I had a lot of changes. Some tournaments I had some people, some I didn't have others. But, from the beginning, it was originally supposed to be it was my inner core group of friends. I did bring in one or two other people that
Did they fish a fair amount before or no? You said that like one guy did not at all.
Two of them somewhat did.
I got you.
One had better core skills than the other. The other one was just no. And it is what it is. It takes time. It takes time
make it work
to get comfortable.
Yeah, for sure.
And it was one of those scenarios where like, shit, this person can do like A through F, but the rest they can't. But do I tolerate just A through F that they can know how to do through the end of the season? And that was kind of the decision that was. So it's really hard from that dynamic. I really wanted to keep it with, just friends. But when I started to see that there was a time commitment with some, or, major opportunity cost from that perspective, having some other guys that had a background, even a little bit, lightened the load just from me. And then virtually that's where a whole bunch of changes started to come through. People just like, hey, I can't commit to it. So the idea of just doing it with, my buddies that I grew up with kind of went out the door. Mm-hmm. And then as we continued to go on, and fish more and more, other people that I met along the way, by means of fishing as well, not only through Nick, but through others. That's the core team that we have now, and we've fished together for most of us 2 years already.
Nice.
So we still have some of my my old school friends. Some I still always want to bring in. Like on a one-day tournament or like a one-off. The circuit is a little bit different, nonetheless, just because there's a lot of prep and everything from that perspective, right? So that's kind of how we are now. I would still like to go back to that, how I was originally starting to do it, but it just didn't pan out that way, as it is with many things in life.
Yeah.
All right. And then everybody, one of the hardest parts too is, now that I think about it, is, we're all adults. Everybody makes their own decision. Everybody, can go out anywhere for they want. No one's held contractually, right, with us. By no means, like I said, if you don't want to be there, I don't want you there. I'll be the first one to drop you off for all I care. But you know, teams change, dynamics change, people like life changes for people. You know, one of these group guys can get pregnant soon, and that person's shot for the, you know, for the whole year for that matter. And it's a reality that we kind of run into. So it's funny though, because one of the things that everybody notices, like, we don't like fishing not with one another anymore. So like, I don't like to fish with like random people or like people that I haven't fished with before. So it's really funny. So like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah, you like to keep your chemistry.
Yeah, you keep it going. You know, there's like an unspoken, you know, you speak by means of like telepathy more than anything, right? You kind of know what that person's going to do. You
or at least you like to think that that's gonna go like that with all these people. It doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't. You know, it's interesting, and you pick it up quick, and you learn really quick. You know, people that you think may work out, you know, and that you're hopeful about, usually, I don't want to say disappoint, but you know, they don't meet the expectation, which is funny.
Yeah.
But that owner operator aspect, like that we come in through, like, it's crazy how I started with one idea and it's just completely become something different.
Yeah. I mean, did you think, I guess, 3 years ago that you would kind of be running a big, you know, kind of tournament operation, or that wasn't really that kind of, it just kind of happened organically, I guess?
So when I told my wife, you know, that I was going to get into it, she knew that it was going to be like a life thing. I have like an addictive personality from that perspective.
It's it's a lifestyle, whether you're, you know, doing it for fun, like you are a professional. The commitment is it doesn't really, you know, when you're doing it to that level, it really doesn't change. And it's part of your, you know, everyday thinking, you know, and it, you know, for better or for worse, it's sometimes you gotta, you know, the family and everything's got to kind of understand that and kind of be with you with it.
It's hard.
And plus being an owner and an owner operator, it's just, you have, you know, you already have a full-time job as well as managing your boat operation. So it's
me and Nick are fortunate. We can just be like, hey, we have to, I mean, we love fishing, but we have to go fishing because it's our job too. You know? So we can justify, where, you know, maybe for owner operators or even boat owners in general that have paid crews, are like, they can't really justify it the same way we can, but they still make it work, you know?
Yeah. I wish, you know, I wish I had that. I have that issue now with the CCO tournament. I had spoken with Alan. He gives me the date, and I'm like, the 2 dates I was planning to be out of town, or I'm out of town, and I'm trying to come back Friday night before the CCO tournament to fish it. But my wife's like, yeah, no chance, not happening. So that one, you know, I pick, and it wasn't on the schedule. So I try to schedule things out like 3 years in advance. So I'm going to start putting every single weekend that I have a tournament between January 1st and like May 31st. So she can't tell me anything. That's the 2023 circuit for me. But, you know, from that perspective, yeah, it's hard. You can't, and it's crazy because things will change, you know, and, you know, in terms of a date or anything like that, or my biggest concern, like I've told some of the guys, is that I want them to get comfortable running the boat, you know, because if we're signed up for a tournament and I can't go for any given reason, you know, I don't want the boat not to go. I don't want them not to fish. You know, they put in just as much, you know, time and effort as I do. So it's, you know, I still want that ability. And I think that's a limitation that at this moment we currently have. So, and it's not just about bringing in somebody else to run that day, which I can always do. But, you know, I think with enough time, one of the guys, or, you know, something like that, we can bring somebody in that will have a nice blend with the crew in the event I can't be there. Because the idea is for me to continue to run it until either, you know, I don't do it anymore, I don't want to do it anymore, or, you know, whatever the case may be.
Do you guys have plans at all? I mean, obviously that's the CCO tournament's not going to work. Do you guys have any plans at all to maybe fish again before kind of the season's over, or you're going to kind of get your boat back and maybe do something else?
I wanted to, but I think we're just going to fun fish the rest of the, you know, and do some meet and do some Bahamas trips and things like that. I'll be in the Bahamas majority of the month of July, you know, with the boat. But I think once I get the boat, hopefully I get it back next week, try to get some tuna in, probably go to my cousin's place in Great Harbor for a few days. So it's going to be a little bit tough. So we'll probably hang it up now, transition, get the boat dialed in. I know when I get it back, I'm still going to have a few gremlins there that have to be checked off. and see when we take it back, because like I said, since I got the boat in November, with the exception of tournament days, I haven't had the boat. Like I haven't, my wife hasn't been on the boat except the day I picked it up. But that's pretty much it. So it's tough. It's weird, not having the boat for quite that time and things like that. So I want to enjoy it a little bit and maybe get all the guys and their spouses, and some of them have kids. So maybe they have do a trip with them or something like that and have some fun, a little bit of change of pace. So it's not all tournament fishing. So the wives stay happy,
Yeah, got to keep the bosses happy.
You better believe it. You better believe it. I think that's the biggest owner-operator difference, is that we have kind of a different,
I think we get that too.
Yeah, but we can justify
pick up
it.
and leave. Hey, look,
yeah, you can. Yeah, it's not like a
Yeah.
we quit our jobs and
still hear it though.
Oh, well, that's never gonna change. I hear it too.
Yeah, I think that's always going to be there.
Yeah,
but we have to conform to it, right? Or
shout out to our wonderful women who my girlfriend Rachel and
yeah, I mean you've been in DR the whole time, right?
So yeah, I did go home for 1 3-day period, but yeah, shout out to the wives and girlfriends of sport fisher crews that put up with us, because it's not easy, Yeah,
absolutely.
And
has she come out to visit you?
Yeah, she came down once, and then I went home once, so that's good.
Nice.
And we're getting out of here soon, so all good.
There you go.
Sweet. Nick, what's your style when you run the boat? Are you aggressive? Are you a yeller? Or are you calm? I feel like everybody in Miami just yells.
So I say I'm deaf, so I yell super loud.
Yeah.
Right. I scream. Have my fucking guys get a heart attack. Especially like.
Yeah, I mean, you got to yell over those loud 4-stroke engines. I know it's tough.
I know it's tough. It's tough. I don't even know why we do it. Like, it's just like, I think of the excitement gets into it, or the adrenaline. Yeah. You see a fish flare up and you're like, ah, you go crazy, right? Yeah. I definitely scream, right? More often than not, I'm pretty loud up there. But other than that, I like to think I kind of, mellow for most part.
Mm-hmm.
But I know I'm not. I'm always like, my head's on a swivel, and then I tune out a lot, especially now, that I have, I'm up top. I have a tower. Kind of like live in my own world.
Yeah.
So I don't even really pay attention to the guys. Like, I don't really hear them that much. They're always talking random stuff. You know how it is. Passing time. Mm-hmm. And then when something comes into the spread, or I see something else, definitely loud there. I think I am pretty aggressive, like when I make moves, especially if I'm pissed off or like something happens that gets me in a really bad move. It's definitely, some of the guys will even say it, that they'll hold on for dear life, like, fuck, like he's in a pissed off mood. We had a scenario like that this year. It was epic. I mean, the guys loved it, but it was, I don't like it. It kind of, yeah, they do. It's like one of the only stories that they talk about this year, because it just stood out. But I think I side more on a little bit of semi-aggressive, let's say, but super loud.
Yeah, super loud.
Well, you're definitely probably the faster boat on the rip.
I mean, you gotta be something. You gotta be something. So I'm not I think we can move. You know what, that's one thing we can do this year. We can move.
Yeah, I can move. All right.
We can move, praying while I'm up there, but we can pray. Well, we can move. All right.
We've had many stories from guys down there making big moves on fast boats, and it's paid off,
Oh, it's a game changer.
Yeah.
It's nice to have all that comfort and everything. I love it. And, some of these big boats, let me tell you, they give you a run for your money. It's weird when, we're, bobbing and weaving and dancing. Or when you have one of these big sporties and they're like doing like 35, 40 knots, and you're like, holy, like just standing still. It's pretty wild.
Gracias.
But yeah, definitely on the louder side. I think so. I say it because I'm deaf. That's it. I'll continue to say that until I die.
Yeah,
it's a good reason.
My guys, though, are quiet, though, with the exception of Rudy. I'll never forget the first time, I usually do all the screaming on my boat. I'll never forget, we had a bird come into our spread. I was looking in the other direction. Rudy screams. I swear I almost fell out of the fucking tower. I was terrified. I had no idea what was going on. Like I panicked. I was like, Rudy, what's going on? He goes, dude, I was trying to scare the bird. I go, you have to warn somebody. All the guys freaked out, and he's there dying of laughter. Mikey dropped a beer, you know. Ian dropped a beer, freaked out. Paulie, Paulie that doesn't speak. Paulie, you have to like check in on him because Paulie's very quiet. Paulie's laser focused. I love him. Even Paulie jumped, and we're like, what's going on? But it was all because of Rudy. With the exception of Rudy, everybody's quiet. Like I won't hear them, but Rudy's always making some level of noise, back there. But it's good for all of them. I live in my own world. They keep each other entertained. We have a really young guy in our team, Gabe, and I'm not gonna say his stories, but we nicknamed that guy Toes. So I'm gonna leave it as Toes.
It's a good
because,
nickname.
Yeah, that's a non-recorded conversation day.
Don't worry, we'll tell them to edit it out.
But no, I mean it's good. I really think from I've been on some different operations in different aspects where you have a non-owner operator aspect, and I think there's a difference whereby I'm doing it with my friends, which is a little bit different. Like I'll still crack down on them nonetheless because it's we want to be the best that we can be, and our goal is to get better every single day, just as it is everybody's, right? But I think there's a margin of error, better said, a margin of tolerance that is higher with my operation being owner operator with friends of mine, versus maybe a non-owner operator aspect, I would assume, right? Because you have to conform to, the boat, owners, things of that nature, whereby that flexibility, you as a captain running that vessel may not have the same tolerance level that I have. I mean, I'm maybe speaking out of context, but I think that's something that, allowing my guys to give a little bit of time, not saying that you don't give people, guys time or any crew time, but I think that tolerance level might be a little bit higher on my side, whether by choice or how it just happens to be. And I think even the newer guys, like I said, one of the guys has never done it, he's one of the better ones of the crew, already in 2 short years,
Yeah.
I think anyhow.
Also helps don't you think that like you said, you got a group that's all working towards a common goal. Yeah, you can cut up and have fun, but everybody, that everybody's on the boat to just be there and do as best you can. And it, like, I used to get super worked up when I first started to run the boat, but now like all my guys are so in tune and focused that like I don't, like if they mess up, it's not because they were not paying attention or they were taking a nap or something like that. They just, like, something went wrong, and that's just fishing, where I feel like in years past or fishing with other people, just the effort wasn't there or the focus of the general, like, where we want to do well, you know what I mean, versus everybody working towards the same goal. And then if somebody messes up, then you're like, all right, I'll let it go. What do you think, Nick, when somebody messes up? Carullo, when somebody messes up, do you still lose your shit?
It all depends on scenario. If it's like, if it's something that obviously you're going to mess up, and some fish are, they're not going to cooperate.
Yeah.
But if it's like a mistake where you're looking at your phone or something, then that, like, I can't tolerate that. But
yeah, we used to have all in Ocean City, since we fished so far offshore, we used to turn everybody used to turn their phones off. Now everybody's got the inReach texting machine, and so everybody's on that now. Yeah. So I kind of see that. My uncle is the worst with it. He's always on that thing. So
yeah, no, just little things like being on your phone when it's a day like you're looking for a free jumper or something, and you look down and your whole crew's just either looking at their phone or whatever. But
the slow days are definitely the days that you almost need to be more focused, because because
one little opportunity arises, you got to capitalize on it, or there it goes. So definitely.
Yeah, I think that too. You said it earlier. It's just everybody there knowing their form of contribution is time, right? So if you don't want to be there, no one wants to, and I say it all the time. I go, time is the only thing that we're not going to get back. from us. We can fund another tournament. We can do another tournament. We can buy other reels. We can do whatever we want to do. But the one thing is, if you don't want to be here, the time you're never going to get back, I don't want you to be here. And like you said, I think that is something that helps not only with the morale. Like I said, we have guys from all walks of life. So everybody tries to help everybody else out in any aspect for that matter. And I think that's helped, the evolution, not of the team, but everybody individually, a considerable amount. We're two very different teams from last year to this year. That goes without saying. I mean, last year, nobody looked. I'm not saying anybody looked this year, but there was 1 or 2 days there that we had a few shots that, we were in the mix. I'll give you that much.
Nice.
Yep.
Do you ever fish with family, Nick?
Oh man. So I do, not here. So I fish with my wife here. She'll come out every now and then. She has to go out on a super slack day. Helium is an understatement of what is needed when she wants to go out.
I gotcha.
And she's quick. Every time we go out, it's like, hey, what do you want to do? What do you want to catch? So literally, like, she wants to go catch a sailfish. I'll go out. We'll catch one. Hopefully we catch one and we're in.
Yeah.
Like last year, like she only went out one day last year. Hey, I want to go catch a sail. I'm like, okay, perfect. So we go out. It was me, Mikey, and Fran, and we get out. We get on the, we get out. We set up the kites, and I think like within 15 minutes, we hooked up, caught one. We were back in. I think we left the dock like at 7:45. We were back in probably by like 9:15. Marina thought we broke down, and they're like, "That's it? What happened?" I'm like, "No, she's done. She's done." And that's pretty. Here, I'll fish with her. My brother will come out every now and then. But in Guate, I fish with a lot of family. I have a lot of family in Guatemala, so we fish there quite a bit more than anything. But up here, it's pretty much, like I said earlier, it's hard. It's not that I don't want to fish with family. I just want to fish with,
I was just asking because I talk about my uncle, and I'm lucky enough to fish with my dad and my brother a lot, and I feel like sometimes the fact that they have your last name just seems to make everything just slightly more tense for whatever reason. I don't know why.
Oh my God, I would love the opportunity. I've done it with my brother. My dad likes to enjoy the boat while it's not moving, or while it's calm and we're on the bank and we're ripping it. My mom the same. But I think my brother's the only one that can probably tolerate it, for most part. Maybe, soon enough, hopefully to get something with an interior, and maybe, I'll take my parents into it a little bit more, and at least if they get bored, they can go sit inside and go to sleep or do whatever they want to do,
Yeah.
But it's tough. It's a big operation too, it doesn't even matter. You're going with a few people. There's a lot of moving parts, there's bait, there's getting the lines out. So it's hard. Like I typically don't want to fish without somebody that I either fish with or somebody that knows how to fish, because that way it just makes the day more enjoyable, right? Because it can be, it's without that. But I think, when I do fish with family, funny enough, when I was fishing with my brother recently again in Guatemala, we had a great set a couple days there, but I really enjoyed it. It's fun. It's fun, but he doesn't have that competition mentality that I have, doesn't matter whether practice day or tournament day. For me, it's, hey, look, there's, we got to get this one. It doesn't matter what it may be.
Gotcha.
How many years is it till the next upgrade?
If I have it my way, hey, I don't think I'm going to sell this boat. I think I'm going to keep this boat as a tender. So I think this boat will stay, be the tender. And if I really had it my way, I think by, maybe probably 3 or 4 years, probably get something. Want to get something probably in the 50 range. This is 35, so 40. Nothing in the 40s I think would make sense. Definitely a fly bridge nonetheless. Something in the mid to upper 50s I think I would enjoy. Pretty comfortable with that range. I've taken them out numerous times, and things of that nature. So that's where ideally I would like to be. What I would get, I'm not sure yet. We'll see what's going on at that moment in time, but definitely not going to be something new. But we'll see. Every boat that I finally gotten has kind of fallen in my lap, thankfully. So I guess I have to wait for that one, because if I go looking for it,
Yeah.
Like I said, I've spent more in surveys on before buying this current boat than I did paying for this boat.
Gotcha.
So it's not easy. But I think that would be the scenario, and keep them both.
Nice.
And keep them both, which is also interesting, right? You know, because we talked with the guys. I'm like, yo, when I get the big boat, or we get the big boat, you know, do we fish on this one or do we fish on the small one? So now everybody's like, no, we take the big one, we take the small one, we fish on both. We'll start up 2 teams, you know, hedge our bets. And I'm like, all right, well, that's one approach, you know. But you know, it's been fun. I'll tell you this, it's been fun. I think it's, you know, like I said, we're equally as competitive. But I think something unique is that none of us do this as a career choice. So we're kind of all willingly being there. And I think that's a factor that's made it perhaps a little more enjoyable. You know, I think not just for myself, but for others. I'm not saying that I wouldn't enjoy anybody else that's, you know, paid crew to be on our team, right? I'm not saying that. But I think that everybody has the same underlying, you know, commitment, and they have separate lives. That's added a separate factor to us, that I think when I fish with others, it's a little bit different. You know, I'm not saying that people aren't equally motivated to a common goal, but it's different. It's like, hey, you know, the whole crew that we have here is, you know, live and die, let's say, for that season, for that, you know, for that matter, just into the whole boat, to one another. You know, one thing I'm huge on are team meals. I don't fail on that, no matter what. I don't care if, you know, we had a terrible day. For me, that's like sacred. So we do a team meal before every tournament, and if it's a multi-day, the day of, it'll be a lighter day. But that first team meal is huge. Everybody get together, everybody just have a good dinner. Let's see where everybody's head's at. How's everybody feeling? You know, it's become a very big family because of, I think, of how everybody came together, which is a little bit, I think it's a little unique. I don't know, maybe you guys have a different opinion on it.
You guys do that? You guys do that, Anthony?
Yeah, we're very much, I mean, and maybe not for every tournament, but for the big 3 that we fish, the Jimmy Johnson, Atlantic City, and Ocean, the White Marlin, and the Mid Atlantic. Yeah, we do one. I would say, you know, with our group, since, you know, we don't, Ocean City is like a 2-hour drive from where a lot of the guys live. So, or, you know, even a 40-minute drive. So like, it's only basically the beginning. And, you know, if there's something to be excited about at the end, then there'll be a night on the last night of the tournament.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of, the guys drive down some days they get up at 2 a.m. to meet the boat at 4:30 when it leaves, and then they fish, and then they go back.
Drive back.
If we have a lay day or something, they'll go back and work a day or something like that. Yeah. So it's very similar. I mean, all our guys are, you know, not professional. All the anglers are not professional. So I'm sure that they can echo what Nick talks about when it's like the time commitment and everything like that. But they're great about it, and they make it whenever they possibly can. And yeah, we've been fortunate to fish with all our guys, and we are very, very big on those a team get together in front of our bigger tournaments, the 3 out of 5 day tournaments basically. And I think it's done well for us. They make me give a speech and everything.
Oh wow.
So,
oh wow.
Yeah.
No, I don't do that. So I just
a speech every dinner.
I mean, it's only like, so no, we don't do a dinner every night. We just do it at
no. I was saying, like, do you do it like is like it's tradition for you to give a speech at the dinner?
Yeah.
I like that.
All right, so you can't start giving ideas out to people because
I want to be there for a speech.
I didn't want to do it at first, but now I don't know. I think about him a lot. Like after the next, like when like
you like
coming
stand up and you tap the glass, get everyone's attention.
No, it's right before. I'm typically the first one to leave because I like to try to get to bed. So it's right before I leave.
There you go.
So,
I like it.
I hope they don't mind me sharing that. It's kind of a.
No, I like it.
Yeah, it was. I think Nick, I feel like it helps bring the team together. And
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think probably, I don't want to say majority of, I'd say teams probably do a dinner before the tournament gets started and then after the tournament.
Yeah, because it like your tournaments down there, it's kind of like it's that season is kind of what you're you know, it's a special part of our lives, is like for that sailfish season and the tournament season up in Ocean City. It's like, it's not something that you do every you know, all year round. So even if we're down here in the DR or, you know, somewhere else, it's more special to be there. And I think you guys probably feel the same way about down there fishing those tournaments. It's a special time to be in your fisheries. And I think like, just like that team dinner just kind of emphasizes it just a little bit more, you know, and brings us all together. And hopefully we do well.
Yeah, I mean, that's all we can hope for. I mean, at the same time, adding on to that, for me, it's symbolic that, hey, look, we're doing a little bit more than just fishing, right? You know, for me, it's very family oriented. That's why, you know, I'm big on, you don't want to be here, do me a favor, just leave. Like, that's it. It fucks with my mind. It fucks with, you know, I think the morale. People will sense it. You know, I mean, you know, if you don't want to be there and you're gonna ruin it for somebody else that really wants to be here, like I said, I don't need to put, you know, or we don't need to have the top 8, you know, best anglers or whatever the case may be in the world together. You know, there's a, you know, how the crew reacts and is with one another is big. Not only for me, but I think for them as well, by the means of how we're all coming together. You know, and one thing too that I look at, you know, it's like you mentioned, it's a special time of our lives, even for that period of time or that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like you look around, you look for that season, and you wait around all year for that season. Like even now, being down here in the DR, like we're down here with the idea that we're practicing a little bit more for going home, you know, and to do well at home. And like everything, at least in our program, and Nick, it sounds like your program is the same, where it's kind of all based around the whole tournament season, you know, and that's the reason why my guys pretty much own the boat, is to fish out of Ocean City and fish those tournaments. And then everything else is just a tool or a way to try to improve on it, you know. Yeah. And that's like, it's just, everybody gets super excited for that season. They can't wait for it. And, you know, a lot of times it's a letdown, but you know, all in all, we still have a great time with each other.
Has everybody that, you know, fishes in your normal tournament team, like back in Ocean City, have they all come down? I mean, maybe obviously not at the same time, but have they all come down to, you know, DR to fish with you?
No, not down here. Not this go around. When we used to take the boat to Mexico, they all made it down, you know. So, but they've been fishing, you know, a couple guys did some Mag Bay stuff in Costa Rica. So they've been fishing. So I'm just happy they've been fishing. It doesn't necessarily need to be with us, but I prefer it to be that way. But
that's been fun too, you know, getting, you know, some of these guys that have been, I don't want to say dormant, right? Because majority of them fish, or, you know, at one moment in time, started to fish again. You can see that, you know, they lit a fire again, and now we want to transition to doing, you know, other things, you know, other fishing that I've done or that they've done. Everybody has a different background and a point of entry of how they got into it. So one thing that we've done is, hey, we have the sailfish season. Now we're going to change into other items. Next year we'll, you know, we have definitely a longer list of tournaments that we have, but it's something that it was nice at the end of this year that, hey, look, everybody kind of wanted to double down, do it again, everybody a good time. You know, we become a family from that perspective. Like even when we, you know, not just the dinners, but when we go up to Palm Beach, you know, I don't drive. I hate driving. I don't even want to. My office is 5 minutes from my house. I don't even want to drive to my office. Like that's how much I hate driving. So I can, you know, some of the guys
you live
don't
in
mind
South
driving.
Florida, and everybody drives like a fucking lunatic down there.
That is true. Half of us don't have driver's license, so that's the real issue. But like some of the guys don't mind driving, you know, from down here for the day or the night before. But like, you know, equally, you know, everybody wants to get some rest. That team dinner is huge. We go to Palm Beach, usually rent a big house. Everybody stays together. You know, it's just part of the whole. It's not just fishing. There's a whole bunch. If it was just fishing, everybody would do it. Let's be honest. There's, you know, months, weeks, timeless hours, or countless hours invested into it, and it's all relative to your operation, right? And what your goal is and what you want to do. You know, the both of you definitely have much more experience than I do from that perspective, but you know, I think it's all relative, which is nice. You know, I think how I came back into it, that we're able to do it in this approach is working more often than not, and it's just, you know, to continue for everybody to invest in not just the team but in one another, and it's become a lifestyle, and a part of everybody's lives for at least the last 2 years for the core guys, and the ones that are staying on, which virtually everybody that fished with us this year is fishing with us next year unless something happens between now and then. But it's nice, it's nice to kind of go into another season and kind of change and just know, hey, look, we don't just care to sailfish, and fish for this, change hats, change gears, do a few other things, and just, stay on the water, I think is more of the approach for us than anything.
Yeah. I will say, Nick, when we're super fortunate in Ocean City that we didn't, when you talk about going up to Palm Beach, we're super fortunate that a lot of the tournaments are there in Ocean City, so we don't have to go anywhere. But when we went up to Atlantic City for that tournament up there, I think that was really cool. It kind of forced us all to be with each other the entire time instead of just that team dinner while we're fishing, and then sometimes we go our separate ways. But now we were up there with each other, and I thought it was really, really fun. I hope we get to do a couple other tournaments where maybe we shoot somewhere for a weekend or something like that. I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's cool. That is cool for you guys to be able to travel there to go do that.
Yeah, because we see everybody, like, I feel like everybody, everybody that comes into town, they're experiencing that, but we don't get that because
it's your backyard.
Yeah, it's our backyard, and everybody kind of has their own house to stay at and stuff like that when they're down in Ocean City. Whereas, like, when you're up and when you're, it's not a far ways away, but it's still different to be be together and kind of just like, we're just going to be here together for the whole week. So
how many months out of the year are you in Ocean City?
We're there 6 months, 7 months. Like we're there. We get there this year. We won't be getting there early, but typically we stayed. The fishing time is only from the middle of May to the middle of October typically, but the boat stays there, kind of does all our yard work there, and then we go in December somewhere. So which is nice because I get plenty of home time.
Yeah.
So
that's nice. That's nice to say the least.
Yeah.
A little, that's well deserved, I'm sure.
Yeah, so,
absolutely.
I love that. I'm super fortunate that I get to live in a city, and the whole the tournament scene comes to us instead of going like a lot of other guys from South Carolina or Florida or North Carolina. They got to come up our way. So it's super lucky in that aspect.
Absolutely. Well, Anthony, you want to ask our podcast question?
Yeah, man. Nick, is there like a day that you can resort back to when, shit's breaking and you're fixing, the boats in the yard every other week, and you're like, why do I even do this? That, maybe that you can resort back to and be like, yeah, that's exactly why I do it. Do you have a day? It doesn't have to be a day you really caught a whole lot of fish, but it could be, it's just a special day that you kind of keeps you going. You think about every once in a while.
So I think realistically, the perseverance, not just from myself, but from everybody in the team that comes together to help and see everybody work together and come into that and, be able to get out and meet that goal of competing for that matter. I think that pushes me more into it because we've had a lot of tournaments and shit goes wrong. You don't understand how many pumps have failed just before the stupidest thing. The Marina one time hit the bottom of the boat and I wasn't sure how bad it was. So I got a call and I freaked out, and they were working on the boat until like 3:00 in the morning one night and finishing it and all these kinds of things. So it's not that like we went out, had a stellar day that it was one for the record books, but I think it's the fact that, hey, we didn't lose focus and, hey, look, we found the solution at the end of the day and we're able to actually compete and continue on. I think that's something that, I've been able to reflect on more because it's crazy that we'll walk into a tournament, I see something like that, or any day for that matter. And knowing that, hey, look, the guys don't doubt it. It's not like, oh shit, the boat's broken or something's going on. Just the fact that we can resolve it. We know how to resolve it. I do think that is something that, I'm not just owner operator, but I deal with a lot of things on the boat because I like to. I'm very specific. I hate when other people do it. Half the time I do it out of convenience for saving me time, which I end up shooting myself in the foot because I have to redo everything anyways because I hate it. But I think that having even the understanding of the boat and knowing that everybody knows that we'll find a solution to it and be able to resolve it in the right amount of time, thankfully, as of now, I think that's kind of what I reflect on more.
I gotcha.
The crew's able to go through, persevere through a whole bunch, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whether a bad day of fishing or, having a hot moment, whatever the case may be, I think that's kind of what keeps it kind of going for me. And, you know, I owe it to them at the end of the day, you know,
Yeah.
and I get back to it. We're all in it together. Yeah, I financed the whole thing. It happens to be my rig. But I owe it equally to them to give them the best, you know, the best that I can for that matter. And that, you know, from the gear, from the traveling, from the stays, from whatever, everything. It's their commitment to me is the easiest way that I can do it is I have to reciprocate in my way and the ways that I can deal with it.
Yeah.
With maintaining the common goal. So I think, you know, the perseverance aspect is what keeps me going, and seeing the relief on their faces. You know, it's like, shit, we got it. Let's keep it rolling.
Yeah.
That's what I think it is. I don't know if I answered it, but I think that's the answer for me.
No,
It's perfect. Absolutely. Awesome, man. I like it.
cool.
Yeah. So soon enough, you know, I'm sure we'll all be competing. At least Nick and I will be once again, and maybe Anthony will cross paths somewhere.
One day, I hope. One day I'm
One
gonna
day.
get down
Yeah,
there.
he's gonna come down
see
and
the scene.
yeah.
One day, I'll take it.
I'm
I'll
forcing
take
him.
it. I like it. I like it. So,
He loves the Miami traffic. So
Oh, of course.
All South Florida. From Jupiter south, it's just chaos.
Jupiter is easy.
No, but from Jupiter,
No one lives up there.
you know, anywhere south of there, it's chaos.
I agree. I live 5 minutes from my office, and it's like daunting when I wake up. I'm like, shit, I have to drive to work. Like
Yeah.
it's one of those. But thank you very much for having me. Had a great time. You know.
yeah, man. Thanks for joining us.
Of course.
man.
Hopefully we inspire a few people to join. Some other operators. It's all right just to jump in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
And hope you get to enjoy your boat here soon.
I don't know. I'm either about to sell it and just buy something else at this moment. But
Well,
no, I can't wait. Hopefully, when Anthony comes down, I'll drive him to the marina and we can all go out.
There
All
we
right.
go.
Sounds
All
good,
right.
man. Thanks.
Thanks,
All right,
Nick.
guys, take
Appreciate
care.
it.
Be well. Take care.